they're new to this game. I mean, their app store launched a year ago. How long has MobiHand been around? How long has Apple been selling software for their Mac line? How long have all of these guys been doing this? And even Palm has been around in apps longer than RIM has. And so do you think that that's an excuse, or am I just being too lenient for these guys? Do you think that they should have accelerated this and have all of these things already in place?
Well, if I were in the company, I'd be saying you just need to be patient. It's coming. As a user, we don't see how big the App World team is. I'm sure if you went to RIM headquarters and walked around the office and saw, oh, it's only these 5 or 6 people who are in charge of a platform that millions of people are interacting with and need to see better immediately, you'd probably give them a lot more slack. But then
But then you'd wonder why they only have 5 people, right?
Then you'd wonder why there's only 5 people.
Yeah.
I would hazard to guess that the official Twitter client for BlackBerry has a 2-person team.
Maybe. Yeah.
So.
I don't know, but and I haven't used it because it's a leak, it's a beta leak, right? And it's I'm very satisfied when it comes to iPhone Twitter clients, so I won't jump over to the BlackBerry side. But I don't know how big, I don't know how many people there are that are on the team. But it would just seem to me that this is a battle that you want to win. That this is a battle that they're up against a huge incumbent. I put a little tweet out this week that said, when I hear people talking about Leo Laporte on This Week in Tech, and they talk about smartphones, they never mention the BlackBerry. They talk at the top, they talk the iPhone is the device to beat. They talk about Android. They're even talking about Windows Mobile or Windows 7 Mobile or whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of an afterthought, which is the BlackBerry. And they talk about app stores and the number of apps in there. And they always start with Apple at 170,000, and then they move down to Android, and then it's like they never even mention RIM. So it's an interesting thing that happens because they really have to win this. They really have to get in this, or else guys like MobiHand, who when they announced the App Store or App World, I thought, and I think a lot of people thought, well, MobiHand's done because RIM's going to put their might behind this. And it's kind of a year later, and MobiHand and their affiliates, the guys that use the technology, like you, are well ahead of the capabilities, functionality. I mean, you can accept more than PayPal, right? Which is the beginning.
Yeah.
So,
now,
what is this economy shaping up to be? How do app developers make this decision about where to go? There's the de facto, and then there is MobiHand, and then there's carrier decks, and then, what does that app economy look like from your perspective?
So if you were to look at the app economy pie chart, what I'm hearing from companies and developers is that App World takes up the majority of your sales. Then it's followed by a carrier channel. Mm-hmm. And the carrier channel and App World could be quite close in numbers depending on your relationship with the carrier. Your deck positioning, all those other factors. But you're looking at carrier and App World right at the top, followed by, MobiHand and D2C.
Yeah.
Now, MobiHand and D2C are they're very small relative to the other channels. But here's what I tell developers. You always have to go MobiHand. And don't look at it. Don't look at going to MobiHand on a revenue basis because it won't look like it's worth it.
Right.
Go to MobiHand because guys, the BlackBerry Cools of the world will, have this. You have a relationship with them now. You share analytics. I promote you. You promote me. It's look at it more as part of your marketing budget. Because while we may not represent the greatest amount of revenue, we occupy much more of the discussion.
It's true. And for small app developers these days, I think we talked about this last week, is that the avenue to the consumer is through you guys. Awareness happens through you guys. You can't just put an app up on App World and hope that it sells, right? I've interviewed a number of guys that have done this, where they just put it up and then on to the next app, and they don't bother to foster the relationship with you guys. And And from your side, from BlackBerry Cool, and I'm sure from all of the other blogs that focus on the mobility space and mobile apps, you have to see some kind of return for this, right? There has to be something in your favor that that if I come to you with an app, there has to be a way for you to somehow turn that into a few dollars here and there, a few dollars. If you're going to do a review, if you're going to do these things, you want to not send them just to App World. You want to send them to MobiHand, collect a little bit of a commission on that sale because you're the one promoting it to your hundreds of thousands or millions of readers, right?
Right. So, and you can go entirely off Google Ads, and it is nice to be able to have the flexibility with developers as well. So, a developer can't just go to App World and say, hey, we'd like to run a contest with BlackBerry Cool where we give out 100 free copies of the app, and we do a fun little contest where you tell us the story of dropping your BlackBerry in the toilet.
Yeah.
And you can't do that, but you can do that through us.
Yep.
So, it'd be interesting to see if App World could take a lot of the lessons that we've learned running these stores and integrate it into their own platform.
Well, here's hoping that they do, because I think that there's, that I'm going to assume that sometime in the next month, sometime before WES or at WES, their annual event, we're going to see an updated App Store with some additional functionality. I don't know why they do it, event-based, or they market it that way, but if they don't, then I'd be very worried, because the need is there for these guys to step up their game against the incumbents. And but I do believe that there's a spot for guys like MobiHand for your custom application. So yours is on the device, yours is on the site as well. You can buy everything anywhere that you can do from App World. So I think that there's room there. But carrier decks is an interesting thing, because it's such a long, laborious process to get up onto the carrier deck, to market to these guys. They still are looked upon as walled gardens. Is that an avenue that you think that app developers should be focused on?
Absolutely. In fact, I think it's going to become even more important moving forward, because, back in the day, I remember writing about applications for feature phones. And again, it was the walled garden. So many things would affect your application sales. As simple as, did your application start with the letter A?
Yeah.
Because if it did, you had a much better chance of selling that app.
Yeah.
It was right there at the top with all the other A's. So, but then we went to the device manufacturer, and right now we're in a period where